ARI.com. By Jack in the Box. Taste the all-new Double Jack Burger today, only at Jack in the Box. By Papa Murphy's. Love at 425 degrees. And by your Valley Honda dealers, where you'll get more standard features for less money. The best selection of Continental and General brand tires. Visit one of the 22 locally owned Arizona Tire Pros locations. And by Cox Gigablast. How will you live the gig life? We're in Miami. No day at the beach against these Marlins. Giancarlo Stanton has some shorter fences at which he can try for. Diamondbacks and Marlins, first of 3 here at Marlins Park. First pitch is next on Fox Sports Arizona. Bob Brenly and Jody Jackson with you. Hot and steamy, muggy outside here, but nice and cozy inside as the Diamondbacks and Chip Hale open up a 9-game road trip with the first of 3 against these Marlins. And Bob, last time Chip and the D-backs were on the road, they went 7-3. Tonight, the first of 9 away from Chase Field.
Yeah, hopefully they'll relax, get those bats going again a little bit. It seems like the offense has really fallen to sleep at the end of that homestand. Just couldn't seem to put anything together offensively. Hopefully getting out on the road once again, a little extra work before the ball game today will pay dividends during the game.
And a new look to the lineup tonight. A couple of guys are sitting out. There's also a left-hand starter out there for Miami, so it looks a little something like this.
Little something like this. Phil Gosselin starting at second base today. Brandon Drury at third. Paul Goldschmidt at first. Ricky Weeks Jr. out in left field cleaning up. Yasmani Tomas moves over to right field today. Wellington Castillo behind the plate. Chris Owings in center. Nick Ahmed at shortstop, and Patrick Corbin, the lefty, on the mound.
Let's go down on the field, which has been resodded for this series. Jody Jackson's down there. Jody.
Yeah, that's something to certainly watch in this game, resodding in center. But, you know, you guys talked about the offense drying up at the end of the homestand. That applies to some guys, but not Brandon Drury, who gets the start today at third base and is batting in the 2-hole. He has 4 home runs in his last 5 games. And I asked Brandon, what's been different? He said about a week ago, he got more grounded with his feet, trying to simplify things. He thought there was too much movement going on there, making that leg kick really small. And he says it could be just baseball, but it also could be that change that he made about a week ago. And guys, get this. I think you'll enjoy this on Brandon, because you know what a student of the game he is. You know what a baseball gym rat he is. He didn't want to go out in the sun yesterday on the off day because he thought it might make him feel a little bit too drained today here for game 1. Guys?
I did the same thing. I stayed at the
Me
hotel
too.
bar. Sure.
Me too.
Your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for the Marlins, it's Justin Nicolino, 24-year-old left-hander, who was called up from AAA last week to face the Dodgers in LA and was sensational. Just 2 hits and 2 walks in 7 1/3 scoreless innings.
Yeah, sinker, cutter, changeup combination. He will mix in an occasional curveball. This guy has been the pitcher of the year in 2 different minor leagues. He was pitcher of the year in the Florida State League in 2013. And then in 2014 in the Southern League, he was also the Marlins minor league pitcher of the year in 2014. So he comes with some credentials.
Our eye on defense for Miami. It's brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers.
Outfield will be Yelich in left, Ozuna in center, and the big guy, Giancarlo Stanton, over in right field. Former D-back Martin Prado at third base, Adeiny Echeverria at shortstop, Miguel Rojas at second, Chris Johnson over at first base. The leadoff hitter and catcher, JT Realmuto. I love to say that, leadoff hitting catcher. He'll be behind the plate for left-hander Justin Nicolino.
And again, they have brought the fences in this year at Marlins Park. They have lowered some of them. They are lower now, about 6 feet high in front of the Clevelander in left field. But from the yellow line there, right in center, they brought that down and in from 418 to 407. And then all the way across the fence is lower as well, right until you get to that 392 mark. Just shy of the Marlins bullpen right there. And then from that point on to the foul pole, it's the same. So most of the fences here are lower and closer.
And I know you did some extra credit work about where Giancarlo Stanton's home runs usually go. And it's right in the area where they've shortened the fences.
What a coincidence.
Like he needs any help.
A little coinky-dink right there. Phil Gosselin in the leadoff spot, 294 and a homer. And he looks at strike 1 from Justin Nicolino. The crew chief, Dana DeMuth, is our plate umpire. Gosselin lives this one out to Marcell Ozuna in center. And that's the first out of the ball game. Yeah, it occurred to them, hey, we have Giancarlo Stanton. We should move the fences closer. And they did that. They still want to keep it a pitcher's park using little finger quotes, but they did what they could.
And it's been in the works for a number of years, we are told. I asked the question, did this have anything to do with Barry Bonds coming on board? Because they built a stadium for him in San Francisco where he could pull the ball out into McCovey Cove over that short porch. They said it had nothing to do with Barry being named the hitting coach.
Barry yelled at me today, buddy.
Did he really?
Yeah, I was down there taking some pictures of the batting cage. And, hey, you!
Hey.
All right, Barry, sorry. Here's Brandon Drury.
It's Barry's world.
Yeah, it is. We're all just living in it. 1-1, 315, 5 home runs. And what a run he's been on lately. More than half his hits this year have gone for extra bases. He's slugging .630 right now. And Brandon has hit a home run in 4 of his last 5 games. He's ahead 2 balls and a strike.
Yeah, you heard Jody mention that Brandon has tried to simplify his approach a little bit, eliminate some of the leg kick, and we've talked about that unknowingly. Just the fact that he looks still as a statue up there in that batter's box.
Blast this one in the air. It hangs up in right center field. Stanton has it just shy of that warning track. And it's allowed out number 2.
Now you're right, partner. Even with the fences moved in and lowered as they've done here at this ballpark, you still need some outfielders that can cover a lot of ground.
It is an enormous outfield here. There's no question about that. And as we mentioned earlier, this field is brand new. They had a Beyonce concert here over the weekend, and all of this is brand new sod that was just put in before the ball game. It's been in there about a day and a half or so. And Chip Hale, a little worried about the seams in the grass and some sand out there. There's a lot of sand on this field, trying to let that grass settle in.
Yeah, you'll see the sand kick up occasionally on a ball hit to the outfield. And of course, for me, the big concern would be, how are you going to throw a ball that's covered with sand?
Yeah. And this is a very inexperienced Diamondbacks outfield. You've got Weeks Jr. in left, CO in center, and Tomas in right today. So keep an eye on the outfield defense. Goldie down 0-2. Little excuse me check swing back to the mound. Nicolino's on it, and he throws him out. It's a 1-2-3 first for the rookie left-hander. Patrick Corbin takes the mound in Miami when we come back. For the D-backs is the left-hander Patrick Corbin. Patrick 1-3 in 5 starts, the ERA near 5, and he's left some pitches in some bad spots this year. He's already given up 7 home runs, and last week against the Cardinals he walked 5 and said afterward, 5 walks is just too much.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic for Patrick Corbin. You can understand if he gives up hits because he's always around the plate, but walking 5 guys in one game is just something I never expected to see from Patrick.
Time for your Valley Honda key to the game, BB.
Well, the key to the game is get the lead off man. Patrick Corbin has had 5 starts this year. He's given up 4 base hits and a walk to the leadoff batter in the game. So it'd go a long way towards helping him out if he could just retire that leadoff man.
And for the first time, a catcher is leading off for the Marlins. It's JT Realmuto, who is red hot at the plate right now. 3-12 and 2 homers, and he's ahead 1-0. He is a converted infielder, so he's not what you would consider a standard catcher, you know, a big, heavy, slow guy.
What are you saying?
He is a catcher.
He will be a heavy, slow guy by the time his career is over if he stays behind the plate.
So this is the new quirk in the Marlins lineup. Realmuto pops that one up near the Diamondback dugout first base side, but it's out of play. Realmuto, as recently as April 22, is hitting a .188 for the year, but since then he has put together a 7-game hitting streak, including 5 multi-hit games, and over that stretch he has raised his batting average now up to .312. So it's been a big leap for Realmuto over the last week or so. And he belts this one to Ricky Weeks Jr. in left. It's headed toward the Clevelander, and it's off the wall. Here's the throw. They got a play on there, but JT Realmuto, who does run well for a catcher, is in there with his 6th double. You said get the leadoff man. So far, no dice.
No dice. Boy, that is an unusual stat for Patrick Corbin. This is a ringing double to left field over the head of Ricky Weeks. Got turned around a little bit, but made no difference on this play. Hits the fence, plays the carom. Watch this bounce. Boing. Ball bounced straight up in the air. Normally a throw from that deep in left field would skip off the grass. That time it hit and bounced straight up in the air.
And you can see behind him right there a seam in the grass where they put that sod in. That's what Chip Hale was talking about. He's a little concerned about it. Here's Martin Prado, the major league's leading hitter. He's batting .410 in 20 games this year. And there's a strike 0-1. Everything Prado is hitting lately is a shot right up the middle of the field. And he had 3 hits in their loss at Milwaukee Sunday. And it was the 4th time in his last 5 games that Martin has had 3 hits. And as I always do, I was down there for batting practice to say hello to Martin Prado, and he, the world's nicest guy, comes up, gives you a big hello, shakes your hand, and as always, I walked away covered in pine tar.
Everybody that comes within shouting distance of Martin Prado gets covered with pine tar.
I said, stop hitting, please. He's like, no, you picked a bad time to come here. He's got it rolling right now. Here's a little dunk shot in front of Owings. They'll stop Realmuto at 3rd, and Prado has another hit. He is now 15 for his last 25 at the plate, Martin Prado. The lineup for Don Mattingly's Miami Marlins tonight.
Well, unfortunately, the top 2 are already on base. JT Realmuto, the catcher, leading off. Martin Prado, the 3rd baseman, batting 2nd. Christian Yelich out in left field. Giancarlo Stanton in right field. Marcell Ozuna in center. Chris Johnson at first base. Adeiny Hechavarria at short. Miguel Rojas at second base. And Justin Nicolino on the mound.
Well, now Patrick is really in it here. The first 2 have reached. They're on the corners. Nobody out. And the batter is the left fielder, Christian Yelich. Off to a tremendous start this year, hitting .341. Ball 1. Yelich, a very selective hitter. He's walked more than he struck out this year. And he's got a very good opposite field approach. Hits the ball a ton to left and left center. One and one.
These Marlins are a little bit like the Diamondbacks in that they're having trouble winning at home. They've only played 9 home games before tonight, 2-7 here in this ballpark. They're 10-5 on the road.
Here's a look at Marlins Park. The dimensions, you can see how far away that outfield seems. It's an enormous center field here. 1-1 pitch to Yelich. Ball 2. Yelich will go to left and left center a lot. When he does pull the ball, he can take you out to right because he can hit the ball hard. And when he does hit the ball up in the air, it's to his pull field. But most often he's content to take into that left center field gap. Big cut of that one, 2-2. Patrick could really use a strikeout and a ground ball. Get out of this mess. Full count, 3-2. Giancarlo Stanton is on deck. And he has outstanding career numbers against the Diamondbacks. A very productive hitter versus Arizona. Realmuto, the catcher, at third. Martin Prado at first. 3-2 pitch to Christian Yelich. Bounced up the middle. Nick Ahmed, shovel pass to Goslin. They'll get one. Realmuto scores, and it's an RBI for Yelich. 1-0 Miami.
didn't think there was any way Nick would be able to get the lead runner at second base. He runs right by the bag, has to flip backwards to Phil Goslin covering the bag. Fortunately, Goslin right there keeps his foot on the base, takes a look at first, but no chance to turn the double play.
So a run in, they get one out. Yelich at first. And here's Giancarlo. He's had an RBI in 7 straight games. Yelich runs well down there at first. That misses 1-0. Stanton 253 and 8 homers. He has 10 hits in his last 7 games. 5 of those hits are home runs. He is really starting to heat up. Big cut at that one, 1-1. Stanton, oh, go ahead, Bob.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say he's always a strikeout candidate. As you can imagine, the guy that hits the ball as far as he does, he takes a very, very aggressive, nearly out of control swing at times.
Is there a way to attack this guy?
I think the general consensus is you try to jam him in on his hands, especially a lefty that maybe has a cut fastball that you can run in. What you want to avoid is anything out over the plate where he can get his arms extended, because any part of the ballpark is open game for Giancarlo Stanton.
Yelich holds at first. That one misses in. 2 balls and a strike.
Now, Patrick's gone in there a couple of times in this at bat. He's just missed off the corner with the first attempt. That one way off the inside corner. But the idea is to try to take some of the sting out of the bat, get in on his hands.
Out over the plate. Corbin goes to second for the force on Yelich. They won't turn 2. Stanton runs well. And that's the second out here in the first. Time for our Eye on Defense for the D-backs, brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers.
Be a real test for the guys in the outfield tonight. Ricky Weeks Jr. in left, Chris Owings in center, Yasmani Tomas slides over to right field tonight. It'll be Drury and Ahmed on the left side of the infield. Goslin and Goldschmidt on the right side. Wellington Castillo doing the catching for lefty Patrick Corbin.
Marcell Ozuna, the center fielder. And we are told that of all the guys that have worked with the new hitting coach Barry Bonds here, Ozuna has likely benefited the most. There's a strike, 0-1. Ozuna has homered in each of his last 2 games. He's at 227 on the year. And that's the highest his batting average has been this season. He's off to a slow start. There's the hitting coach, Barry Bonds. 0-2. Yes, he went. First base umpire Greg Gibson rings up Ozuna, and Patrick Corbin gets out of a big mess, but the Marlins have a 1-0 lead. Trail Miami 1-0 in the second inning. And fans, the D-backs are getting set to welcome the New York Yankees back to Chase Field in just 2 weeks. It's a 3-game series, May 16th through the 18th, and you can get your tickets right now at dbacks.com. 2 weeks away from the Yankees.
The Yankees.
That's get your juices flowing a little bit, bring back some memories.
It will at the time, I'm sure, when you see that classic uniform come out of that first base dugout, but it's a lot of different people over there now than were back there in 2001.
Well, I would hope so. Otherwise, their team would be really old.
Really old.
Yeah. Ricky Weeks Jr. 250 and 3 RBIs getting the start in left field. And the cleanup spot for Chip here this evening. As David Peralta sitting against the left-hander Nicolino. And Chip said today Ricky's had some very good at-bats lately. He's been good against left-handers. And as a former pinch hitter himself, Chip knows that a start every now and then, when you get 3 or 4 at-bats, really makes a difference when you're in the role that Ricky Weeks Jr. is in here with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, it's just unrealistic to expect these guys to come off the bench and get a big base hit late in the ball game for you as a pinch hitter if they haven't had some at-bats leading up to that pinch hit appearance. And taking advantage of a left-handed starter tonight for the Marlins and getting Ricky Weeks in there for possibly 4 or 5 at-bats.
He's down 0-2.
I think the biggest adjustment for a guy that's used to coming off the bench and being a pinch hitter is having a patient at bat when you suddenly find yourself in the starting lineup. The mindset of a pinch hitter is to swing at that first strike you see. As a starting player, you figure you're going to get 3, 4, maybe 5 at bats in the game. You want to see as much as you can from that starting pitcher in that first at bat of the ball game.
And David Peralta getting the night off. Gene Segura as well. Gene's got a little minor hip thing, no big deal. They expect him back tomorrow. Ricky Weeks just pulls that one foul. And Chip told us today, speaking about David Peralta, that he really wanted to get David 2 consecutive days of rest after the off day yesterday, because not only did the D-backs just complete 20 straight days of games, they only had 1 off day from games during spring training. So this group is frankly pretty tired right now, and David, they thought, could really benefit from 2 straight days off. Plus with a lefty going tonight, that kind of made it a no-brainer. There's Ricky Weeks Jr. A single to lead off the second. First hit for the Diamondbacks against Justin Nicolino. Brings up Yasmani Tomas. Here's David getting some more rest. Segura's hip is not a hip flexor, they say. It's really no big deal. He hit and ran today, but they want to make sure he's 100%, so Gene gets an extra day as well. Tomas, 286 and 5 home runs.
I don't know how much you can glean from watching a guy take ground balls during batting practice, but Gene appeared to be moving okay, wasn't favoring anything, no sign of a limp or anything like that, so hopefully be right back in there tomorrow.
Phil Gosselin in there tonight at second base and leading off. There's ball 1 to El Tanque, who has done well in his career against these Marlins. Tomas ahead 2-0. Justin Nicolino does not strike anybody out, never has. He'll succeed by locating the ball well around that strike zone and pitching to generate some weak contact. Got 11 ground ball outs when he was so good last week at Dodger Stadium. Ricky Weeks Jr. takes off, and Tomas fouls that one off. It's 2-1.
Well, that was one where you'd almost rather take the called strike and run the count to 2-1 and give Weeks a chance to steal that bag. He got an unbelievable jump over there at first. I know you had a chance to talk to Dave McKay a little bit before the ball game about the left-hander for the Marlins.
Yeah, Dave said he really doesn't have a move that's anything north of above average. It's just your basic left-hand move, nothing special. So they think they can get to him here if they pick something up. That one is fouled off, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, and when Dave McKay discovers something on an opposing pitcher, it doesn't even have to be a fast runner at first base. I mean, we've seen it repeatedly where the guy, the Diamondbacks base runner, takes his lead and just breaks for second base while the pitcher's standing there. That's when Dave has done his video homework and has seen something that the runners can exploit.
Nicolino, nothing special when it comes to holding runners on. 2-2 to Tomas. Wait for somebody to call timeout. Nobody does. So Nicolino steps off and we'll start again.
I always felt if you're a left-handed pitcher and you do not have a good pickoff move, you probably should never throw over there. Don't show the runners how bad your move is. Let them think you have a good move, but don't show them a bad move and then let them get an extra step or two on their lead.
He wanted another sign from Realmuto. Here's the 2-2. Just up and away, and it's a full count, 3-2 on Tomas. Wellington Castillo on deck.
We had a pitcher with the Giants by the name of Atlee Hammaker.
Oh, sure.
Atlee was really good left-hander, made the All-Star team in 1983, and he had possibly the world's worst pickoff move for a left-hander. And I would always look over to the bench to get the signs, and when they would show pickoff, I would just groan inside my mask. Oh no, let's don't throw over there. Because once I see his move, it's off to the races.
Nice at bat there by Yasmani Tomas. A single and a walk lead off the Diamondbacks second, and that brings up Beef Wellington. Castillo, 282. He's got 6 home runs. Trying to get that run right back here in the second inning. You can see outside it is a muggy, steamy, rainy right through that window in left field. Look too steamy even to see downtown Miami. The skyline is usually back there. There's a strike to Wellington Castillo. It's 0-1.
Yeah, back in the days when they played at, well, whatever it was called, Pro Player Stadium, it had a million different names. It would have been right in the middle of batting practice when the rains came this afternoon. In that old park, everybody took their BP in the cages.
Play on at second, and Weeks Jr. is back in time. Yeah, it poured rain here about 4 o'clock on the bus ride over from the hotel. And luckily for us, they built one of those drawbridges right here next to the park, and then the ones that go up over the river. So a 20-minute ride took almost an hour, so that was good. It's pouring rain. There's a boat going through the road. Base hit. Castillo knocks it into left. Matt Williams will stop Ricky Weeks Jr. at third base, and the Diamondbacks have the bases loaded with no outs for Chris Owings.
Weeks had to freeze momentarily out there at second base on this line drive hit to the left side. Wanted to make sure it got through. Right there, Ricky freezes just to make sure that nobody on that left side can make a play on that line drive. D-backs have them loaded with nobody out.
Conference time at the mound now. JT Realmuto out there with Martin Prado. And Nicolino in a bases loaded, no out mess as Chris Owings steps in. CO at 274. The bat has really come around nicely since the middle of last month. We're going to get a quick mound visit here. That's Juan Nicasio, the new pitching coach.
Well, this is an area where the Diamondbacks really need to improve. There are a lot of areas they'd like to get better, but batting with runners in scoring position as a team, they're hitting .206 this season. Great opportunity here for CO.
I should say Juan Nieves is the pitching coach, former Red Sox pitching coach here, now in charge of the Marlins staff. There's Dave Magadan, the hitting coach. So here we go. Chris Owings, bases full, no outs. Big cut at that one. Chris, last 14 games, hitting nearly .320. Very productive bat lately.
Driving that ball to the big part of the field, left of center, right of center.
Yeah, I asked you about that today. He said, I'm just trying to keep up with Drury. They're all watching what Brandon Drury's done here lately.
Well, that's a good goal for anybody, the way Brandon's been swinging it.
One and two on Chris Owings. Shallow right field. That one drops in. Everybody had to hold up. They get the force at second on Wellington Castillo. Weeks Jr. scores to tie the ball game. Everybody had to freeze there. It looked like Stanton might come in and catch that one. And because the ball was hit to such short right field, they did have a play at second.
Unfortunately, I think that's going to go as a fielder's choice RBI for Chris Owings on a ball that drops out there in shallow right field. But a heads-up play by Stanton to fire to second base. Wellington couldn't really do anything more than what he did, just kind of creep down there about halfway and wait and see what happened. If he goes much farther and Stanton makes the play, they turn it into a double play at first base. So really, that's a can't-win situation for a slow-footed runner caught between first and second with that guy's arm in right field.
Really sounded from way up here like he broke his bat and it just dunked into short right. But the Diamondbacks tie the ball game. And now they have runners in the corners. One out for Nick Ahmed.
Well, if indeed Dave McKay has seen something in Nicolino's pickoff as opposed to his delivery to home plate, Chris Owings is the guy you would expect to take advantage of it over there at first.
CO 5 for 5 in his stolen base attempts this year. Nick hits this one in the air toward the right field corner. It's headed for the seats and it is a foul ball. That's about the only part of this ballpark where they didn't change the fences from right center field into the right field corner. That foul pole, that remains about the same. Got a lot of electronic scoreboards out there anyway, so there's not much they could do. But the rest of the ballpark, the dimensions have been altered.
And really, that's the only spot in the ballpark, and it's a small area down that right field corner where we lose sight of the defensive players. In a lot of ballparks, the outfielders run into the corner and disappear. But great sight lines for us up here in the press box. Just that one little area down in the right field corner.
0-1 on Nick Ahmed. Nick hits a high fly ball to left center field. Ozuna calling for it. Tomas at third, and here he comes. Ozuna's got a good arm, and the throw is not in time. An RBI for Nick Ahmed, and it's 2-1 Diamondbacks.
I think the Marlins are going to take a look at that play at the plate. Obviously, we're a long way from the playing field up here, but I'm not so sure that Yasmani Tomas touched the plate.
Dana DeMute, the plate umpire, looking into the Miami dugout. Let's see.
He might have hit it with his hand. His foot hit the foot of JT Realmuto, the catcher, and went right over home plate, but he might have caught it with his left hand as he slid past. And that was another throw like we saw Ricky Weeks make from the outfield. When that ball from Ozuna hit the infield grass, it popped up, not getting the same kind of skip that you would normally get on those throws from the outfield.
Tim Wallach is the bench coach. Came over from the Dodgers with Don Mattingly. And there will be no Marlins challenge, so it's an RBI for Nick Ahmed, a 2-1 D-backs lead. And here's the pitcher, Patrick Corbin, with 2 outs and Chris Owings at second.
Well, you're right about Ozuna's arm out there in center field. We had a great vantage point here. That throw didn't tail a little bit. Laser beam straight once it left his hand.
Yeah, the arms in center and right with Ozuna and Stanton are well above average. Christian Yelich is basically your average outfield arm, but Stanton and Ozuna can really chuck it.
And Yelich, even with that average at best arm, he usually charges the ball very hard out there in left.
Yeah, he's a gold glover out there. A bouncer over the mound. Danny Echeverria throws out Corbin. And that's the end of the inning. But the Diamondbacks get 2. They take a 2-1 lead. Veterans Park. Diamondbacks lead it 2-1. Time now for greater coverage of baseball. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Other National League West scores. The Dodgers are here in Florida as well. They're playing some interleague games against the Tampa Bay Rays. LA leads Tampa Bay 3-1, bottom 2 over in St. Pete. Giants at Cincinnati at Good American Ballpark, and they lead the Reds 1-0. Colorado and San Diego later tonight at Petco Park. That's Eddie Butler for the Rockies and Andrew Kachner for San Diego. Chris Johnson, the former Diamondback, will lead off the Miami second against Patrick Corbin. And Chris hitting .227. He's only had 22 at-bats all year. They have a right-left platoon over there at first base with the left hand hitting Justin Bour, but against Corbin tonight, it's Johnson at first. He has been a third baseman for most of his big league career. But he has very good numbers career against left-hand pitchers, .312 against lefties for his career, so he's in there tonight. There's a strike. 1-1 on Chris Johnson, who signed with the Marlins in January. And is still getting paid a lot of money by the Cleveland Indians. He opened last season in Atlanta. Braves traded him to Cleveland in August for Michael Bourne and Nick Swisher. Cleveland released Johnson in December, and he hooked up with Miami about a month later. His career numbers against left-hand pitchers. Fouled off, and it's 2-2. What's the key to a good platoon?
Willingness to be part of that platoon. I mean, everybody wants to be an everyday player, and even if your numbers would indicate that you shouldn't be playing against right-handed pitching, most guys' natural instinct is to want to be in there every day. But once you accept your role, I'm going to be in there against all the left-handed starters. I'm going to get a lot of pinch hit at bats against left-handed relievers. Well, once you're able to accept that and realize you're just part of a bigger unit as the team, and it makes you a better team when you're not in there against righties. It's that willingness to be part of a platoon, I think.
Chris Johnson's a guy, this is his age 31 season, and been around a while. Something like this, if it's a good mix, a good fit, it can really extend your career.
Sure, sure.
There's a slow tapper to Drury at third, and he throws out Johnson to open up the Miami second. Danny Echeverria, the shortstop.
Which is why generally in a platoon it's a couple of veteran players.
They get it. Right?
Yeah, they get it. They understand what it means to be part of a team and do your job within that framework. And, you know, the younger players a lot of times come up from the minors. They've played every day against righties and lefties, and you don't want to stunt their development by sitting them half the time.
First pitch swing, and Echeverria, Phil Gosselin at second base. A couple of ground ball outs for Corbin to open up the second. Well, of course, Miami without its all-star D. Gordon, who last week was hit with an 80-game suspension for a PED violation. Derek Dietrich figures to play most of the time at second base while Gordon is out, but he's a left-hand hitter, so it's Miguel Rojas in there against Corbin tonight. The former Dodger hitting .273. Were you? Well, yeah, everybody was surprised. That's a dumb question.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was surprised about D. Gordon.
I think it you know, should be an alert for everybody out there. It's not always the guys whose head grow 5 sizes and suddenly they put on 50 pounds of muscle in the offseason. You know, for a lot of these guys, they choose to use the PED so they can bounce back quicker. You don't get fatigued nearly as fast as you normally would if you're not on them.
Brandon Drury, it's under the glove. Rojas has a 2-out single. That was hit hard right in the hole. And it brings up the pitcher, Justin Nicolino, so Miami will at least clear that pitcher spot here in the second. Yeah, that's I guess it's sort of simplistic thinking that, well, the guy has to be a giant to be using anything. A little skinny guy like D. Gordon, it almost doesn't even occur to you.
But a guy that relies heavily on his legs for his value to his team, beating out base hits, stealing bases, covering ground defensively, his legs take a beating over the course of a season, and quite possibly he was using just to help his legs bounce back faster. No question they miss him, that's for sure.
Nicolino waves at that one. He's down 0-2. This is what they're missing for 80 games here. D. Gordon, he had a sensational season last year. A native Floridian.
And he was that guy at the top of the order when he was on base, could distract the opposing pitcher. And if you make a mistake to some of the guys in the middle of this Marlins lineup, you're going to be out of the game quickly.
Second strikeout for Patrick Corbin, who's out of the second inning with a 2-1 lead. More from Miami coming up next.
Third inning. Hey fans, a D-backs home run tonight means a free jumbo jack tomorrow at participating Jack in the Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
How many guys get to take their swings in the on-deck circle in front of a big fish tank? But that's what they have here at Marlins Park. You can see the fish right behind Phil Gosselin there, swimming around somewhere. Oh, there's one.
Bring my pole tomorrow. There's got to be a way to drop a line in there.
Nobody will mind. That is, of course, a shatterproof glass, so no foul balls can harm the fish. They got all kinds of stuff in there. Here at a very unusual looking ballpark, Marlins Park. So Phil Gosselin leads off the third against lefty Justin Nicolino. 2-1 Diamondbacks. Gosselin flying out to center to lead off the ball game. Looks at strike one. Chip Hale told us today, and again, Gene Segura has a little bit of a hip issue. It's very minor. And Chip was very careful to say it is not a hip flexor or anything like that. Just a knot or some tightness in there for Segura. Ozuna runs that one down. And they believe Gene is very close to returning. He feels fine running. And Bob, as you mentioned, he looked fine out there today. They wanted to give him one more day just to make sure he's 100%, but Segura is expected back in the lineup tomorrow.
Yeah, sometimes guys that are max effort players like Gene Segura is, he throws his body around, head first slides, tumbling slides into home plate. Sometimes you just need a day to sit back and let everything kind of heal up a little bit.
Yeah, just some tightness or a knot in there that popped up after the game on Saturday. Here's Brandon Drury. Brandon flied out his first time up, coming off a 3-hit game against the Rockies Sunday. And on the injury front, Chip Hale was asked about Jake Lamb today. A lot of Diamondback fans on Twitter have been asking about Jake Lamb. Jake, and this was Chip Hale's word, he said Jake is perfect. He is perfect. He hit today, he threw today. He's had a little tiny minor shoulder thing, but he is just fine. But with the lefty Nicolino in there tonight, they figured one more day, why not? So Lamb is expected back in this series, and he is, in the words of Chip Hale, perfect. This is what you want to hear about Jake Lamb. 3-1 now on Drury. There's Jake. And like David Peralta, getting some extended rest here. So that's certainly helpful considering this team just played 20 games in a row.
A very fine line between getting an extended rest and losing your edge.
Guess what? Brandon Drury's got a base hit. He rolls one into left center. Boy, he has been on a run lately.
Stay hot. Well, we've talked a lot about weak contact lately. It's what you look for as a Diamondbacks pitcher. Unfortunately, it's what we've seen a lot of as a Diamondbacks offense. But one guy that has hit the ball hard consistently is Brandon Drury.
Well, here's the guy they got to get going. It's Paul Goldschmidt, 236. Goldie tapped back to the mound his first time up. Leading the major leagues in walks and has more walks than hits this year at this point. And he's just not getting anything to hit right now. That strategy is working for the opposition. Over his last 7 games, Paul has walked 9 times, but he has just 3 hits and 1 RBI. And likely not a coincidence that in those 7 games, the Diamondbacks have won just twice. You can't produce if you don't get anything to hit. But he's still taking those walks, lead the big leagues. Here's another case in point. He's ahead 2-0. That's got to get frustrating, I would think. So it's got to be a real test of your discipline as a hitter.
It never bothered me. Just swing.
Pitch to Brenly.
Yeah, if you get tired of not getting swings, swing. Yeah, but you're right. I mean, obviously, you look at this Diamondbacks lineup in an advance meeting, and Paul Goldschmidt's name is in neon lights.
Yeah.
Don't let this guy beat you, whatever you do. So regardless of the game situation, every at bat they pitch to Paul Goldschmidt like the game's on the line.
A pretty quick move from Nicolino right there, but Drury's back inside. Some guys get frustrated. Some guys will expand their own strike zone. They'll chase bad pitches. Not this guy. Not from what we've seen. He's off one there. He's ahead 3 balls and a strike.
And the thing for Goldie, I talk all the time about predictable fastball counts. There is no such thing to Paul Goldschmidt.
You're not going to groove one to Goldie. He knocks it into left field. Back-to-back 1-out singles for the Diamondbacks.
And that was a 3-1 changeup. Fortunately, Nicolino left it up where Goldie could do something with it. Ripped it through that left side for a 1-out base hit, putting runners at first and second. Yeah, you know, lesser hitters, you're going to get a fastball right down the middle of the plate there. Pitcher's going to try to get back in the sequence against you, but that time it was a changeup, and Goldie able to get a base hit.
Down there with former teammate Chris Johnson. Here's Ricky Weeks Jr., who singled and scored in the second. Batting cleanup and getting the start in left field tonight. They really liked his at-bats lately. They like his approach against lefties.
Boy, and if for no other reason, Ricky Weeks deserves an occasional start. As hard as he works, we watch him every day come out here and take his fly balls in the outfield, extra hitting in the cages, just staying ready for that one at bat he might get as a pinch hitter late in the game. So you reward a guy, get him a start against a left-hander once in a while.
Lifts this one in the air to right center field. Stanton and Ozuna. Marcell Ozuna with a good arm. Drury will stay put at second base, and that's the second out. Yeah, Ricky is not here just collecting a check. It's impressive to watch him go about his business.
He's a professional.
Now, as Manny Tomas walked and scored in the second. Had a good at bat against Nicolino. Worked the count full and took a walk. So he's up there now with 2 on and 2 out. Nicolino's a guy that is basically out there without a net. I mean, he needs to pitch to contact, which he does. He needs weak ground balls. He is not a strikeout pitcher. In fact, he may be the anti-strikeout pitcher. He punched out only 23 guys in 74 innings as a rookie last year. And that's the lowest strikeout rate in the league. He is a control pitcher. really have anything that can miss a bat. Fastball generally right about 90, and then works off that. So he's got to be very precise, and he's got to try and fool you. Here's the pitching coach, Wandy Evans. He's got to pitch like he's here. Working to Tomas ahead 0-2, being very fine and located. This is where he sometimes likes to go to a curveball that he's got a lot more faith in lately. A little changeup. Nicolino's on it, and they retire. Yasmani Tomas. Diamondbacks strand 2, but they lead it 2-1. Park. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly, Jody Jackson. Diamondbacks lead Miami 2-1. Hey D-backs fans, we are excited to introduce to you 1893 from the makers of Pepsi Cola. It's a premium cola inspired by the original Pepsi recipes and features premium cola extract and fair trade sugar. Pick one up at your local retailer today. It's 1893 for the makers of Pepsi.
Scott Geyer piloting the blimp once again.
Captain Geyer, high above courtside. In the words of the late great Johnny Most. JT Realmuto leads off the Miami third against Patrick Corbin, who's got a 2-1 lead. Captain Geyer in the airship high above our heads here. Can't see him. The roof is closed, thank goodness.
Yeah, we've had a little fun with JT Realmuto hitting leadoff as a catcher. I'll have you know that I hit leadoff once.
What happened? Was it a clerical error?
Frank had a little too much wine the night before. And,
I'm sure that wasn't the case.
No, we were just struggling mightily on offense, and at that particular time I was getting on base, drawing some walks, getting a few hits here and there, so we just put the names in a hat, I think, and drew them out, and I ended up in the leadoff spot. Me and Vince Coleman. It was against the Cardinals.
Two interesting schools of thought there with the leadoff hitters.
Yeah, well, I did it once.
Well, it was Billy Martin who famously did that one time when the Yankees were slumping, right? Had Reggie Jackson come in the office, and he and Yogi put the names in a hat, and Reggie picked the lineup, and they won, I don't know, a bunch of games in a row after that. How'd you do in the leadoff spot?
I don't recall that I set the world on fire.
Tapper back to the mound. Don't make me look it up.
Well,
all right, stand by.
I did have 8 plate appearances in the #1 spot in the lineup, but most of those were double switch, come into the game or pinch hit. But I had 1 start as a leadoff hitter. I'm not sure what I did. Probably not enough because I didn't get to hit there again.
Here's the league's leading hitter, Martin Prado. Singled his first time up. 15 hits in his last 25 at bats, Martin Prado. Just on a sensational run right now. He's hit safely in 8 straight games and 14 of 50.
I will say it was very odd. I was the guy that was used to hitting in the third inning, not the first inning. You know, I usually hit down there at the bottom of the order somewhere, 7th or 8th, and a lot of times I didn't get my first at bat until the 3rd inning of a ball game. But to be the very first hitter in the game, that was really weird.
I thought about this when I saw Real Muto. Do you have to run in there and run and get your gear off and run out onto the on-deck circle and do all that stuff?
You don't, I mean, if you're going to try to visualize like Goldie does, or if you have some unusual preparation before an at-bat, you're going to have to adjust it because you got to get that gear off, get your helmet and gloves on, and get up there and take your hacks.
Tapper to Brandon Drury. Patrick Corbin's got that ground ball working here tonight. I was going to say maybe they didn't want you visualizing what you might do. That could only lead to trouble.
Nightmares, yeah.
Don't think, just throw. Christian Yelich now. One 1-0 on Yelich. Chip Hale was telling us before the ball game today what he wanted from Patrick Corbin. And Chip, he said it was pretty simple. Throw strike one and then expand the zone from there. That makes sense to you?
Oh, that makes all the sense in the world. Ideally, that strike one is a quality strike away from the middle of the plate. Put it on a corner, keep it down around the knees. Yeah, it just really opens up everything when you jump ahead in the count.
It was ball one to Yelich, but now Patrick's ahead 1-2. Get guys to chase, expand the zone. Is that what that means?
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, once a hitter's in a hole, especially in 2 strikes now, you've got to protect everything. You got to protect up, you've got to protect down, you've got to protect off the corners.
2-2 on Christian Yelich. Stanton on deck. Patrick has worked the count full 3-2. Marlins have not seen much of Patrick Corbin. 1-0 in 2 career starts versus Miami, and they haven't faced him in nearly 3 years. I'm told that our crack staff, producer Brad the Big Dog Weimer, has found your leadoff game through in the archives. Maybe we'll I don't know if we should save this or not. Is it good news or bad news? Called strike 3. Patrick rings up Yelich. That's his 3rd strikeout. He's set down 4 in a row, and he's got a 2-1 lead in Miami. And Nick Ahmed due up 6, 7, and 8 against lefty Justin Nicolino. There is my partner, Bob Brenly, who batted leadoff on July 22nd, 1986 against the Cardinals. And you went, I mean, you sold yourself a little short here. You were a home run hitter in the leadoff spot.
What can I say? Against John Tudor.
From Peabody, Mass.
I was 1 for 15 lifetime against John Tudor.
The lefty.
Fortunately, it came in the one game I was leading off.
That's just good managing is what that is. Wellington Castillo singled his first time up. I'm surprised they didn't put you back there after that.
You might be the only one that's surprised. And coincidentally, it happened to be Brad Weimer's 6th birthday.
Yeah, that's the stat I really love. These little kitty producers. Prado charges that one barehanded and throws out Castillo. A nice play by Martin Prado. Every team has a leader. This is Prado's team. He is the guy. Everybody looks to him. He has assumed a tremendous leadership role here with this Marlins club.
Well, you make plays like this, you can afford to stand up and speak out in the clubhouse if necessary. Nice barehanded scoop and throw to Johnson just in time to get Wellington Castillo.
Here's Chris Owings. CO had a bloop that dropped in front of Stanton and Wright that scored a run, but was ruled a fielder's choice because Wellington Castillo, the runner at first base at the time, had to hold up and was thrown out at second on a force play. Otherwise, it would have been an RBI single for Chris. He was ahead 3 balls and no strikes. That's the Nicolino fastball right there. Here it is, 88. And he missed with that one. Now he's not locating nearly as efficiently as he was earlier in the ballgame. That's his second walk. When a guy like that, Bob, gets behind in the count 2-1, 3-1, and he's got an 88, 89-ish fastball, how much trouble is he in?
Well, he's in a lot of trouble unless he can spot the ball down. That is always the great equalizer for a guy that doesn't throw very hard but has a little bit of movement on his fastball. If you can keep it down, you've got a good chance of getting a ground ball, and then your defense can help you out a little bit.
Ahmed has a sacrifice fly his first time up, drove in a run. Drove in the go-ahead run, in fact. 2-1 Diamondbacks. Swing and a miss, 0-1. Nick right now fighting it 3 for 46. And he was hitting an even 300 for the year back in the middle of April. Nick had hit in 5 straight games, homered in back-to-back games in LA on the last road trip. But since then, it's been slow going. He drives this one into left center, a base hit for Ahmed. Owings with that good speed will take the turn and head for third. And Nick halfway to second gets lucky there as Rojas drops the ball. They might have had a play on Ahmed, who was halfway to second base before he turned around. And you can see, Bob, that sand kicking up on everything that hit to the outfield.
Yeah. Not sure how much it's affecting the outfielders. Good swing that time by Nick, and he's an aggressive base runner. He was anticipating that Ozuna with that big arm might try to throw to third base, so he took that huge turnaround first. Had to slam on the brakes and dive back into the bag on his belly.
So the Diamondbacks with 1 out in the 4th have runners at the corners. Owings is at third, Ahmed at first. And the pitcher Patrick Corbin steps in.
Potential safety squeeze situation right here with the pitcher at the plate, a runner at third, a runner at first. You bunt that ball. If it's down safely and Chris Owings thinks he can score, he'll come on down the line at third.
What does Prado do at third in this case?
Crossed everything. I mean, Prado's anticipating a bunt, as is Chris Johnson down at first, who was charging after holding on Nick Ahmed. Now Real Muto will step out in front of home plate to go through a series of signs for the Marlins infielders, let them know what he's going to do should Nick attempt a stolen base.
Nicolino at 60 pitches, 40 strikes.
should be the move for a step off. Come set.
And wait for somebody to call timeout. What does that accomplish?
Well, it's an effort to see if somebody will tip something. Will Nick lean a little bit towards second base? Will Patrick Corbin start to shorten up his grip? Will somebody do something out there that gives you an idea of what the Diamondbacks are up to right here?
The 0-1. Gets the bunt down. CO is hung up, but Prado, even with a runner, was not on the bag. So they throw out Corbin at first. And Ahmed moves up to second.
That's actually nicely done right there. The ball was bunted a little bit too hard. CO came down the line at third, but then realized he was going to run into an easy out at home plate if he tries to go. So he goes back to the bag at third. Serves the purpose of a sac bunt, moving 2 runners now into scoring position.
For Phil Gosselin, who is 0 for 2. He is twice flying out to center. Phil getting the start at second base. And in the leadoff spot. Coming off a 2-hit game Sunday against the Rockies. And there's a strike 0-1. This one is slammed to Yelich in left. A Gold Glover out there runs it down at the warning track. Gosselin gave it a ride, but it stayed in the ballpark. Diamondbacks ran 2, but they still lead it 2-1. Patrick Corbin leads the Marlins 2-1. Time for Gig Life high-speed highlights presented by Cox and BB. Patrick so far through 3 innings has 6 ground ball outs, 4 in the last 2 innings.
That's a really good sign. Some weak contact. That tapper back to the mound by Real Muto. Anytime Patrick's putting the ball on the ground, it's good indication. Obviously he's keeping the ball down, but also has some movement when he keeps the ball down.
He's retired the last 4 he's faced. Giancarlo Stanton leads off the Marlin 4th. And there's ball 1. Shift is on for the Diamondbacks. Gosselin, the second baseman, standing almost near where the shortstop would normally be. Goldie all by himself on the right-hand side.
Steadily pounding him inside, on the corner or farther in.
That is a smash right to Drury at third. Brandon recovers, long throw, and Goldie can't scoop it. Stanton's aboard.
We know Brandon Drury has more arm than this. A bullet off his chest. He just spikes that throw into the infield grass. Really tough pick for Goldie over there at first base that time.
Leadoff man on in the fourth. Center fielder Marcell Ozuna. That is an error on Brandon Drury, the third baseman. E5 has Stanton on at first. Ozuna struck out to end the first inning, his first time up. Patrick tonight has 3 strikeouts. He has not walked a batter. And once again, he gets strike one. Coming into this inning, we talked about that. That was the key for Chip Hale. Throw strike one and then expand the strike zone. Well, Corbin has thrown a first pitch strike to 7 of the first 12 Miami hitters in the ballgame. And he has been very efficient here tonight. Most of the Marlins hitters have been retired in 5 pitches or fewer. And with this bullpen, having worked so much over a stretch of 20 games in a row, the deeper you can get into a ball game, the better. Look out, that is a rocket into the seats. And out of play, it's 0-2.
The Marlins, not much of a base stealing team. Giancarlo Stanton over there at first has not attempted a stolen base. Most of their stolen bases went on the suspended list with D. Gordon.
And on the line in left, but pulled foul. Nice hands. This is a good place to catch foul balls. There's not a ton of competition. No. In the seats here.
That guy will never make fun of an infielder again for dropping a hard hit ball.
Fastball missed up and away. It's 1-2 on Marcell Ozuna, who 2 years ago, Ozuna, there it is. I might have broken something there. She's just laughing. Yeah, right there, that's where it hit. Ozuna a couple of years ago looked like he was on his way to becoming one of the best young outfielders in baseball. He was only 23. Hit about 270, belted 23 homers, knocked in 85, but he had a lot of problems last season. The batting average went down, his weight went up. The OPS dropped about 100 points, and he went through a tough 1-for-36 stretch and was sent to the minor leagues. But he has showed up a lot slimmer this year. Corbin bounces that one. He dropped about 20 pounds in the offseason and has rededicated himself, and they're happy about that. You talk about raw tools. Marcell Ozuna is a toolbox. He is loaded with them. Power, runs well, plays center field for a big guy, great throwing arm. 2-2. Phil Gosselin knocks it down. They have time for one, and Nick Ahmed can't quite turn it. Ozuna beats it out. Nick did a nice job trying to turn that double play after Phil Gosselin really tackled the ball. That was a smash up the middle.
A couple of hard hit ground balls in this inning. Most of the ground ball contact we've seen from Patrick has been very softly hit, but this inning smashed down to third by Stanton, and then this one able to get the out at second base, but Ozuna busting it down that line, able to beat out the relay throw.
Phil looks a lot like that guy that caught the foul ball. That hurt, that one.
Shaking his hand out, yeah.
That was hard hit. Chris Johnson. Johnson grounded out to third his first at bat. We are told that, according to StatCast, that ground ball that Phil Gosselin just tackled was hit 106 miles an hour. Try getting in front of that. See how it feels at 106 off the bat. 0-1 to Johnson.
As an infielder, that's the one you hope is hit a step or two to your right or left. You don't want that one hit directly at you.
Bounces away. Patrick behind, 2 balls and no strikes. He's thrown 60 pitches. Marlins got their run in that first inning. Real Muto led off the game with a double. Prado singled. Yelich had a fielder's choice for the lone Miami run. And they'll keep Ozuna close down there. Ozuna's got a pretty healthy lead over there. He holds it first. This is lifted in the air behind first base. Goslin's got a beat on it, and Phil collects that for the second out. Brings up Adeiny Hechavarria, the shortstop. Hechavarria hacked at the first pitch he saw his first time up and grounded out to second. He's hitting only .221 this year. He had a disappointing April offensively, the Marlins shortstop, although he did close out last month with a 4-hit game at Milwaukee. That was Saturday, including a home run. And there are many people that will tell you this might be the best defensive shortstop in the game. Nobody who watches the Diamondbacks every day, but people out here believe that. Strike one.
I think part of the reason a lot of people think Hechavarria might be the best is that guy right there, Perry Hill, their first base coach, one of the best infield instructors in the game and has been for a long time. He has tutored some really good infielders.
That's out of play. Corbin ahead 0-2.
Perry Hill over at the old ballpark, and I assume he does the same thing here. You know, you go in your advanced meeting and you talk about opposing hitters, and we're going to play this guy 2 steps to pull. We're going to play this guy a step up the middle. He used to take different colored golf tees and plant them in the grass right behind the shortstop. And then he would just hold up color-coded cards. Go to the red tee, go to the blue tee. But eventually, you know, the infielders get the hang of what they're trying to do defensively and get the hang of reading advance reports and digesting them and understanding them.
Another grounder to second. Goslin collects that, and Patrick Corbin has the ground ball working through 4. Diamondbacks lead the Marlins 2-1.
Score 5 runs or more. Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
3 more runs to go as Brandon Drury leads off the Arizona 5th against left-hander Justin Nicolino. 2-1 Diamondbacks. RBIs by Owings and Ahmed. And Brandon Drury will lead it off. Chip Hale was telling us today that looking at Brandon Drury, he's the bat that everybody is talking about in this lineup right now. He said that the thing he really likes about Brandon Drury right now is the way he walks up to the plate with bad intentions. Chip said Brandon he's always looking to go up there and inflict damage, which the coaches are just thrilled about, as long as he doesn't swing at bad pitches, drops a curveball in there. And Brandon has not done that to this point. For the most part, he's not chased some bad pitches, but Chip said he goes up there and he wants to cause trouble. He is looking to slam the baseball. And that figures because more than half his hits this year have gone for extra bases.
That's the term Gracie used to use up here in the booth a lot. Guy that hits with bad intentions, trying to do some damage, flatten out that baseball. Brandon has done a bunch of that.
He has hit a home run in 4 of his last 5 games, coming off a 3-hit game against the Rockies Sunday. Reaches out and taps that to shortstop. A Danny Echeverria double clutch, but he throws him out. And that's the first out here in the 5th. Drury 1 for 3. Goldie singled his last time up. Missed Anthony's 1-0. Left-hander Justin Nicolino. Breaking ball in there, 1-1. Missed away, 2 balls and a strike. Nicolino is a native Floridian. He's from Orlando. 2nd-round pick out of high school there by the Blue Jays back in the 2010 draft. And the Marlins got him from Toronto as part of that big deal a few years ago that when everybody went crazy about the Jose Reyes deal.
Traded about a half a roster for half a roster.
Yeah, he was part of that. Full count to Goldie, 3-2. Nicolino's first big league experience was last year. He made 12 starts, went 5-4 with a 4.01. 3-2 to Goldie.
A lot of changeups in this sequence. By my unofficial count, that's 4 straight changeups that Nicolino has thrown in this at bat by Paul Goldschmidt.
He gave up the base hit on a changeup. Yeah, I didn't remember you saying that. Loses that one. That's his 3rd walk. 1 out base runner now for Ricky Weeks Jr. Ricky getting the start in left field tonight, batting cleanup. He's singled and scored in the 2nd. He's 1 for 2.
I'm calling a stolen base for Goldie.
All right, I like that. So far, he is 1 for 2 in his stolen base attempts this year. Now, what makes you say that?
Just, you know, once again, Dave McKay thought he saw something from Nicolino that the Diamondbacks would be able to exploit, and Goldie pays as much attention to those advance reports as anybody in a gray uniform. And I'm sure if he heard Dave McKay said, "I've got something on this guy," Goldie was the first guy in the room to take a look at it on the video.
Goldie chatting up first base up Greg Gibson down there. Fastball missed. The 1-0 count on Ricky Weeks Jr. He's been a very nice fit here with this Diamondback ball club. Done a good job as a pinch hitter. 5 for 16, 3 doubles, 3 RBIs. Getting a start tonight. And again, when you watch Ricky Weeks Jr. take batting practice, it's like he's 22 years old again. He hits it as hard as anybody that you see.
And once again, it comes back for me to his attitude. Obviously, he still has a lot left in the tank physically, but his attitude has been fantastic. And you get guys like Ricky Weeks who have had a really nice career. You're used to being a starting player at second base, and suddenly a team is asking you to play outfield and be a pinch hitter. It would be very easy for that guy to turn into what they call a cancer. Sit in the clubhouse and whine. You're not getting playing time. I'm not getting any at-bats. We haven't seen any of that from Ricky Weeks.
Makes a cut at the 2-0 and rolls it to shortstop. Echeverria, Rojas. And they roll the double play. Nicolino erases the one-out walk. Bottom 5 on the way. Diamondbacks lead in Miami 2-1. You can follow Arizona Diamondbacks baseball live with the MLB.com at Bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game video, highlights, StatCast news, the whole thing. Just download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablets. Miguel Rojas leads off the 5th against Patrick Corbin, who so far through 4 innings has 8 ground ball outs. He's had that working for him here tonight. He's given up just 3 hits. Once again throws a first pitch strike. Jumps ahead 0-2. That's, I'm going to guess what they mean by getting somebody to expand the zone right there.
Absolutely. Get that first strike in there. Now those borderline pitches that are perhaps fading out of the strike zone. Too close to take. Not really good enough to hit. Saw the defensive swing that time from Rojas.
Rojas singled in the 2nd. That was the last Miami hit. And he's got another one. Miguel Rojas, the start at second base. He's 2 for 2. That time the ground ball just snuck through.
Yeah, that was a mistake in location. Look where Wellington Castillo is set up. Down and in. Look him reach back out over the plate. That ball was actually on the outside corner. And Rojas in defensive mode just slapped it through that right side.
That's tough after Patrick was ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. 6-0-2 counts for Corbin so far through 4+, and now he'll work to the pitcher Justin Nicolino. That'll bring Brandon Drury in from 3rd. Here comes Goldie from 1st. Nicolino pulls back and takes a ball, 1-0. I always wonder about how to approach this. I mean, there's the school of thought that says, look, if the guy's going to bunt, take the out. They're giving you an out, take it. On the other hand, why make it easy for him? Maybe he'll foul it off. Maybe he'll get behind in the count. Is there one theory that you like over the other?
High strikes, high fastball strikes is the conventional wisdom in an obvious bunting situation. Tougher to get that ball on the ground when it's up at the top of the strike zone. Now, once you get to 2 strikes, if the pitcher continues to bunt, which I would assume will happen in this situation, now a breaking ball off the outside corner. You might get him to try to jab at it, but early in the sequence, high fastballs. You want him to bunt it hard somewhere in the infield. You got your corner infielders and your pitcher charging, possibly a chance to get that lead runner.
Pops it up.
Yeah, not to mention a high fastball is likely to be popped in the air, too.
2-1 now with Corbin right at 70 pitches, 45 strikes.
Well, this is where it really helps if your pitcher can handle the bat just a little bit. You know, we got the corner infielders charging, the second baseman's breaking to first, the shortstop's covering second. There's all kinds of holes defensively in the infield.
It's the bunt down. Brandon Drury's got no play.
Patrick Corbin intercepted it. Brandon was right there ready to make the play, and Patrick cut in front to take that bunt.
And they get Nicolino. This is the old hidden ball trick right here. Brandon immediately scampers back to cover third. You've got Goslin covering second. Takes the throw from Corbin. 1-4 on the sacrifice.
Confusion there. That could have been a disaster, but fortunately Patrick Corbin kept his wits about him, gave Phil Goslin enough time to get to the bag at first. Everybody retreated to cover third, and they did get the out.
So Rojas at second, one down for the catcher and leadoff man, JT Realmuto.
I thought you might like that. Just love the way that rolls off your tongue.
His double in the first extended his hitting streak now at 8 games. Rojas back safely at second. Well, this is a guy they like a lot, called up from the minors early last year, JT Realmuto, and given the catcher's job. He played in over 120 games, hit .259, 10 homers as a rookie. Set a Marlins rookie record with 114 hits, in fact. And runs well for a catcher. He's a converted infielder.
Seems to be the trend in baseball. We just saw the Rockies and their backup catcher Tony Wolters, who was an infielder by trade, put him behind the plate a couple of years ago, and now he's in the big leagues as a backup catcher / utility man.
Realmuto was a third-round pick out of high school from Midwest City, Oklahoma, by the Marlins back in the 2010 draft, where he was a shortstop and would occasionally catch. Realmuto said that everybody else was going to draft him as a shortstop. He was a fairly highly sought after high school player, but the Marlins were the only ones who said, okay, you can catch. He wanted to catch, so he passed on a scholarship to Oklahoma State, and now here he is. Guy wanted to catch. Some kind of,
that's half the battle.
something wrong with him.
No, that means he is where he should be.
Comes from a very athletic family in Oklahoma. One of his uncles is an NCAA wrestling champion, John Smith, who won some gold medals at the Olympics. Missed away, and Patrick behind, 3 balls and 1 strike. He's got some heavy hitters coming up behind Realmuto. Prado, Yelich, Stanton. Rojas at second, 1 out. Prado leading the major leagues right now in hitting. Full count, 3-2. Did you always catch?
No, I like a lot of guys. I played shortstop. I played center field. I used to pitch quite a bit, but yeah, after my freshman year of high school, I was basically a catcher all the time, with one exception. My senior year of college, I moved out to play third. We had co-captains on the team, and the other co-captain could only catch. I could play other positions, so I moved out to play third base my senior year.
That versatility kicking in again. You can play third, you can lead off.
At least once.
Yeah, well, hey, you homered.
That's probably why I didn't hit leadoff again. I hit for so much power out of the leadoff spot, they probably moved me down in the order, more of an RBI slot.
Friendly kid. He's a middle of the order bat.
Yeah, that's it.
Rojas dancing around back there. Corbin will reset on the 3-2 pitch to JT Realmuto, the catcher. With Prado on deck, 1 out. This guy's a nice player. Tough out, just turned 25 about a month ago.
Well, they'll get some good instruction in this Marlins organization. Brian Schneider, who had a very long career as their catching instructor in their minor league organization, I'm sure he worked extensively with Realmuto to get his skills up to major league level behind the plate.
Yeah, Brian Schneider was the manager at Class A Jupiter last year. They brought him up here to be the Marlins' first ever catching coach. And they said in the front office, well, we have an infield coach, have an outfield coach, we should have a catching coach, and they do. 3-2 pitch. This is a battle here. Along the right field line and headed for the seats, and we'll do it one more time with Corbin now at 80 pitches, 52 strikes. And Realmuto's wearing him out here. Tenth pitch of the at-bat on the way. Lifted in the air, deep left field. Ricky Weeks Jr. at the track. He's got room and he runs it down just shy of the Clevelander. Rojas will tag and head for third. He's in there. And Patrick Corbin gets a big out, number 2. Ricky Weeks Jr. had a long way to go to get that one.
Yeah, he was playing shallow out there in left field when that ball went off the bat. I wasn't so sure he was going to be able to retreat in time to make the play, but Ricky got a good read on that ball, turns and sprints back toward the warning track. Stops his momentum and tried to get off a strong throw to third base, but that is a long way out there in left center field.
Now you got some thinking to do here. The entire infield is on the mound with Rojas at third. 2 outs, and the major league's leading hitter steps in, Martin Prado. Prado has singled and grounded out 1 for 2. Counting tonight, he's got 18 hits in his last 8 games. Patrick trying to strand that tying run at third with 2 outs. Ball 1. Prado began this game tonight with 32 hits in 20 games. He has hit safely in every game he started this year. Corbin behind 2-0. Prado has Yelich on deck behind him. Stanton would be after that.
Prado hitting an even 500 against left-handed pitching this year, so you think, well, pitch him tough. If you walk him, you walk him. But the left-handed hitting Christian Yelich is hitting 538 against lefties this year.
Coming inside here. Moves Prado off the plate. 3-0 now. Well, it looks like maybe they'll work to Yelich. Especially with the way Patrick has been rolling ground ball outs tonight, that might not be the worst thing ever.
Yelich did drive in a run with his fielder's choice grounder back in the first, but struck out looking in the third.
Fastball right there. 3-1 now. Prado taking all the way. 3-2.
Breaking ball right there, behind in the count.
Dropped it in there and surprised Martin, it looked like. 3-2 pitch. Big strikeout for Patrick Corbin. Rojas the leadoff single, but he stays at third, and it stays 2-1 Diamondbacks.
We head to the top of the sixth. Diamondbacks holding a 2-1 lead. Hey fans, beginning on May 12th, Diamondbacks baseball will be televised in Spanish on Fox Sports Arizona Plus, presented by your Valley Honda dealers and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. To find the channel listings and the 25-game schedule, visit foxsportsarizona.com.
The great Oscar Soria will be doing those ball games along with Rodrigo Lopez on the TV side here coming up. And that's going to be a great service for D-backs fans. Yasmani Tomas leads off the Arizona sixth against left-hander Justin Nicolino. 2-1 Diamondbacks. Tomas walked and scored in the second. He grounded out his last time up. Boy, that was an impressive bottom of the fifth. Bob Patrick Corbin made some big pitches. That long battle with Real Muto. And then down 3-1, came back to punch out Prado as Tomas has a single to lead off the sixth. He's aboard for the second time tonight. Brings up Wellington Castillo, 1 for 2, a single in the second. Nicolino, even with 3 bases on balls, has stayed relatively efficient out there. 80 pitches, 52 strikes. Dana DeMuth, the crew chief behind the plate, grants a late timeout to JT Realmuto. Talked about this, Bob. Realmuto, a converted shortstop from high school. I mean, he really needs to give a long look into the dugout every time for a sign.
Yeah, usually, and I'm not sure with the Marlins, but usually the signs from the bench are just concerning pickoff throws to first base, pitch outs. They're not calling each individual pitch. I could be wrong with that with the Marlins, but generally the signs from the bench are just pickoff moves to first base and pitch outs.
This is the pitching coach, Juan Nieves, and the Marlins bullpen get busy here. There's a right-hander throwing down there. Look inside the Miami bullpen. Ryan Moore is the right-hander. He has been a workhorse back there. He leads the Marlins in appearances this season with 14. 2-0 on Wellington Castillo. Yasmani Tomas, the runner at first. This is hit well. Deep right field. Stanton backing up at the track at the wall, and it's gone. Wellington Castillo takes it out of here. That's number 7 for Beef Wellington, and it's 4-1 Diamondbacks. He hit it to the one part where they didn't move the fence, and he still took it out of here.
I would say he got it up in the jet stream, but the roof's closed tonight. There's no breeze at all inside the ballpark. That is tremendous opposite field pop by Wellington Castillo. 2-0 fastball, center cut right in the middle of the plate. He knew he hit it well. I didn't think it was going to carry the way it did. Chase Stanton all the way back to that bullpen in right field and just short on his leap.
Chris Owings has an RBI and a base on balls. 4-1 D-backs. A single and a home run open up the Arizona 6th. This is hard to third. Prado spins and throws. One away. That was a jumbo jack for Beef Wellington.
I love the fact that it came to the opposite field. That's usually a good sign, and that count was in his favor. 2-0 right there. It would have been easy to try to jerk that ball down the left field line, but he just got the barrel on it and rode it out of here to right.
It's been a good night at the plate for Nick Ahmed. Had an RBI sac fly his first time up. Single back in the 4th, so he's 1 for 1. Diamondbacks now out hit the Marlins 7-4. The Castillo homer, their first extra base hit tonight. This is headed for the right field corner. Stanton, long run. And Giancarlo runs it down in fair territory for the second out in the 6th.
Like he almost misjudged that ball, got underneath it, had to reach up and behind his body as he was racing into foul territory to make that play.
That seemed to carry a little bit out there as well.
Maybe there is a jet stream out there.
Patrick Corbin. This is a high fly ball to center for Ozuna. And that's the end of the inning, but Tomas a single, Castillo a home run, his 7th. It's 4-1 Diamondbacks.
gotta love the sea life race, as I call it, but I guess it's called the Great Sea Race. And yes, the Seahorse wins here as the Diamondbacks are winning 4-1 off the Wellington Castillo 2-run homer last inning. And just a note, guys, on Martin Prado, you know, Patrick Corbin getting that big strikeout to end the inning. Prado's been on fire. He's been a tough out of late in particular. Congratulations to Martin. He is a new dad. He actually had a very busy past 10 days or so. He was reinstated for paternity leave. He had to leave San Francisco, come back all the way east, go back to LA after the birth of the child, and in 6 games since his return. So coming into today, 15 for 28. So fatherhood is certainly agreeing with him, but what a great at-bat there for, I should say, a way to pitch Martin Prado there by Patrick Corbin. That was fantastic.
Yeah, Martin said he had to crisscross the country 4 times for the birth of the youngster, but said it was well worth it. So congratulations to him.
Red hot at the plate. Baby needs new shoes.
Christian Yelich leads off the Miami 6th against Patrick Corbin. Little broken bat roller. Corbin tackles it and makes the play. Patrick Corbin.
What a play. He's the only one that could make that play. If he doesn't make that play, it's a base hit for Yelich. Little topper to the right side. Patrick with a diving play. Our Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Cool play of the game. A pitcher laying out to make a diving stop.
Another ground ball out for Corbin. Here is Giancarlo Stanton.
What do they call that race? The sea life race?
It looks like a bacteria in a petri dish.
Yeah.
Jody said you gotta love it, but do you gotta?
You don't really got it. I always call it the bacteria race.
Jody's just sticking up for Miami, that's all. I mean, that's going to give kids nightmares, isn't it? What's that thing in the front? Is that a seahorse?
I believe that's supposed to be a seahorse. Or pneumococcal germs. I'm not sure.
Wow, hello. Well, it's certainly very Miami. The colors and what have you.
The science fair project gone awry. Yeah, that's the thing you can say about this ballpark. There is no doubt where you are in the United States. You'd never see a ballpark like this in, you know, Utah or Idaho or any of the other states other than Florida.
It's certainly got Miami colors to it. The architecture, I think, is really nice. I think it's a wonderful ballpark. But you know, there's that thing out there. That's a whole other deal. But the colors are Miami. That, of course, is the sculpture known as Nude Fish Descending Staircase #2. I mean, and that is in itself is that's Miami right there.
Sure.
That's very Miami. The owner, Jeffrey Loria, a big art dealer, art collector. 3-2 to Stanton. Just upstairs. First walk issued tonight by Patrick Corbin. Comes with 1 out in the 6th. And if you're going to walk a guy, walk Giancarlo. Bullpen busy for the Diamondbacks with Corbin approaching 100 pitches. He'll work to Marcell Ozuna. The Sheriff. Andrew Chafin on the left, pardon me. And the right-hander Jake Barrett on the right. Chip Hale said the bullpen, considering what it's been through with the day off yesterday, is right now in about as good a shape as it's been in a long time. He feels good about the bullpen going into this road trip. Especially Chafin, who's had some extra rest as it went. This is driven deep to left field, way back and gone. Way over the Clevelander, Marcell Ozuna. Crushes that one. He has homered now in 3 straight games, and it's a 4-3 Diamondback lead.
Well, the Marlins are hoping that Ozuna will turn into that guy to hit behind Giancarlo Stanton and be a pick your poison situation. In this case, kind of pitching around Giancarlo Stanton, and Ozuna makes Patrick Corbin pay with a long home run to left.
The 8th home run given up this year by Patrick. That has been an issue for him. He's done an outstanding job tonight keeping the ball on the ground. Chip Hale. They've got the right hand hitting Chris Johnson coming up. Jake Barrett has been warming up, but it looks like
he called for Chafin.
I think he did. We'll find out when we come back. It's now 4-3 Diamondbacks. It's a 4-3 ball game, bottom 6. Hey fans, D-back season ticket holders can take advantage of a lot of perks this year, including the ability to exchange unused tickets. If you can't make it to an upcoming game, you can exchange it for another game. You can even upgrade your ticket. Learn all about it and become a Diamondback season ticket holder. dbacks.com/advantage. The Sheriff Andrew Chafin, a 2.61 ERA. His last 8 appearances have all been scoreless.
Seems kind of puzzling on the surface to bring in a lefty to face Chris Johnson. As you mentioned earlier, the right-handed part of that first base platoon. You bring in a lefty to face a guy whose sole job is to face left-handed pitching. Then you look at the numbers. Chris Johnson only hitting 182 against lefties this year, hitting much better against right-handers, 273, although his career numbers lean heavily toward facing left-handed pitchers.
They had the right-hander Jake Barrett warming up, but Jake is sat down now, so it's Chafin against Johnson. 2 Miami runs in on the Ozuna homer with 1 out in the 6th. Johnson 0 for 2. A former Diamondback. There's also the idea that if he had gone with Jake Barrett, then Don Mattingly could have countered with his left-hand version of that first base platoon, Justin Bour, who had a 2-homer game the other night in Milwaukee and is very capable of tying things up with one swing, probably more so than Johnson.
And another factor that enters into it is the fact you're trying to get Patrick Corbin a win. If you leave him in the ballgame to face any more hitters in this inning, and somebody should happen to hit another one out of the ballpark, the best he could come away with is a no decision. As it stands right now, if Andrew Chafin can get the D-backs out of this inning and the score stands, Patrick Corbin would be the winning pitcher. Now that's a small thing in the grand scheme of things, But for Patrick's own sanity, I think that would be a big step forward.
And you want to create some momentum for the rotation as a whole, don't you?
Sure.
A 4-pitch walk to Johnson, and they'll work to the shortstop, Adeiny Echeverria. Echeverria 0 for 2. He has twice grounded out to second. And with 1 out, one of those would work nicely here for Andrew Chafin.
Good meeting here by Wellington Castillo. Chafin just kind of spraying it around. We're not used to seeing him miss the zone as badly as he has here the first 2 hitters, so Wellington realizes that quickly.
He's yet to throw a strike, Andrew Chafin. Echeverria had a 4-hit game over the weekend at Milwaukee that included a home run. Still hasn't thrown a strike, behind 2-0. And the bullpen will get busy again for the Diamondbacks. Jake Barrett, who was throwing a moment ago, starts up again. Garvin Alston out there, the bullpen coach. Johnson at first, 1 out. Andrew Chafin has not thrown a strike in 7 pitches. And that'll bring Mike Butcher out. Chip Hale said he felt really good about the bullpen, and he mentioned Andrew Chafin in particular as a guy who has had a lot of rest as of late. So Andrew not nearly as sharp as we normally see him at this point. 7 pitches, all balls.
Yeah, usually a coach or a manager, you kind of try to blend into your surroundings. You don't really want to be noticed, but look at the shoes on Mike Butcher tonight. Wow.
That's it is Miami. He might fit right in here.
Absolutely.
The teal is all over his feet. We're talking to the equipment guys here who made the trip, and the extra uniforms and the evolution. They have a lot more luggage with all the different combos that have to make the trip along with the team. 3 balls, no strikes to Adeiny Echeverria. And he is still not throwing a strike. Back-to-back 4-pitch walks out of the bullpen for Andrew Chafin. This is something that Chip Hale is not used to seeing. And he's going to go get the right-hander Barrett. Miguel Rojas, the second baseman, is coming up. Marlins have a threat going. It's a 1-run ball game. have closed to within one, have a threat going here in the 6th inning. And I want to take you back to Sunday, the game against the Rockies, in which Shelby Miller had some mechanical issues in that 4th inning. Had back-to-back walks and left with the bases loaded. They brought in Jake Barrett. He struck out Trevor Story to leave the bases loaded. Well, Barrett is back in there now, trying to close out another threat. The Marlins, who got within 4-3 of the Marcell Ozuna homer, have 2 on and 1 out. And we're going to get a hitter for the second baseman, Miguel Rojas. We'll see the left-hand hitting Derek Dietrich, who is in to face Barrett. Jake Barrett, 8 big league appearances this year, the 3.86 ERA, 7 strikeouts against only 1 walk. You do have to be careful with Derek Dietrich, who figures to get most of the playing time at second base now that Dee Gordon has been suspended. And this is a guy hitting .325 this year with a couple of home runs. He's got good power. And had a 3-hit day Sunday in their loss at Milwaukee. And a home run Saturday at Miller Park. So 2 on, 1 out. Barrett and Dietrich here in the 6th.
A double play would be just what the doctor ordered, because chances are you're going to get Justin Bour to pinch in for the pitcher spot next.
Chris Johnson is the runner at second. Danny Echeverria at first.
Looks like Ichiro coming out into the on-deck circle rather than Justin Bour.
And there he is.
Of course, it is Ichiro T-shirt night here at the ballpark.
First pitch is carved into the seats on a play, 0-1. .96. And Jake Barrett jumps ahead. No balls and 2 strikes.
A little extra cheese on that fastball. Had a little cutting action too. Took it from the outside part of the plate right down the middle.
Yeah, that was a power fastball coming in there. So Andrew Chafin, who threw 8 pitches, all balls, responsible for the 2 base runners. Barrett comes in here. So far, 2 pitches, 2 strikes. Down the right field line, and that ball is foul. You said it.
Wasn't hooking as much as I thought it would off the bat. Looked like it was hugging that line all the way down into the corner. Just does curl into foul territory.
Ooh, that hung out over the plate for Jake there. Noonan.
Talk to it.
Another 0-2. That one almost got Lenny Harris down there, coaching at third. Got him on the elbow. There's Dana DeMute. You can see, you can hear it. He's got that protector on there.
Looked like he was favoring his left elbow.
Oh, it hit the bat
hit the knob of the bat.
It hit the bat knob.
Oh, he grabs his elbow. Thing didn't come close.
Hit by pitch is subject to review. And Chip Hale is going to talk to Dana DeMuth. It's a tremendous acting job by Dietrich if it did hit the bat knob. He's putting on quite a show. And they are going to put on the headsets. Does it hit the elbow or does it hit the bat knob? Super slow-mo time. It hit the bat.
It hit the bat. It never came close to his left elbow where he grabbed.
Look at this Academy Award-winning performance. Oh, wow, does that hurt? I'm acting. What was that old John Lovitz bit? Acting. Acting. Diamondbacks challenge. And boy, that's super slow-mo. A great job by our crew here.
Oh,
Gives you a terrific look at it.
Great
That's a
shot.
I mean, there's no doubt. So oftentimes umpires listen for things. On close plays at first, they'll listen for the foot on the back, the ball on the glove. I imagine it's the same in this situation. And with Dietrich wearing that plate around his elbow and putting on the show that he did, you can see why he thought maybe it got that lead elbow there.
Yeah, everything makes a very distinctive sound if it hits the muscle part of your arm or the bony part of your arm, or if it hits the barrel of the bat, if it hits the handle of the bat.
I mean, we are way up high here in this ballpark, and we could hear that plain as day. It sure sounded like it hit that elbow protector. You can understand why Dana DeMuth, and hearing that and watching Dietrich, would think it got him in the elbow, but let's find out. They're going to put him at first base. How is that?
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Wow. Dietrich has been awarded first base, and Ichiro will hit with the bases full and 1 out. Everyone in the Diamondback dugout has their arms raised over their heads. What? But again, that call is made in New York. It's not.
That's horrible.
The umpires here. That's kind of amazing. Mike Butcher will go out to the mound now and figure out how to pitch to Ichiro. That's a puzzler. Take a look.
What could they possibly have seen? It hit nothing but knob.
Yeah, that's stunning.
Well, as I've said before, keep in mind those people watching the monitors back in New York are the same guys that worked the field the rest of the week.
That's right, when they put on the headsets, and this was something that the umpires union wanted when replay was approved. They wanted to get on the headset and talk to their colleagues, other umpires. And you rotate through the video headquarters in New York as you would a Major League Park if you're a Major League umpire. So bases are full, 1 out for Ichiro, who's had only 35 at bats all year, but he's hitting .314. He is 54 hits away from 3,000. Ichiro hitting for the pitcher. 95 from Barrett. This is away. It's 1-0. Ichiro t-shirt night here at Marlins Park. Base hit. Johnson will score and tie the ball game. Echeverria right behind, and it's 5-4 Miami. Now Ichiro 53 away from 3,000 for his career.
That's a typical Ichiro base hit. Kind of bail and pop. Start leaning toward first base as that bat's coming through the hitting zone. Clean single that time into center.
Boy, that hit by pitch is going to be.
That's huge.
I'm dying to hear what they told Chip. So Patrick Corbin, who pitched a tremendous ball game here tonight, cannot win it. And the Diamondbacks trail 5-4, still just one out. And here's the 8th Miami hitter in this inning. It's JT Realmuto, the catcher, in the leadoff spot. Realmuto doubled and scored in the first. He's 1 for 3. No one throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. So far, a 4-run Marlins 6th. Swing and a miss, 1-1.
If this was the NBA, Derek Dietrich would be fined for flopping.
You're absolutely right. He put on a heck of a show. I'll give him credit for that. He's at second, Ichiro at first. I can't imagine a more definitive replay than the one we showed you.
And as you mentioned, it's not on Dana DeMuth or Greg Gibson, the first base umpire. Once it goes to review, it's on the umpire sitting back in New York looking at the monitors, and apparently they saw something we didn't.
Reaches out and pops it up. Ahmed's under it. Infield fly rule. That's the second out. The only possible explanation is they say it breezed a finger. Maybe it hit him in the pinky finger, but
maybe caught a little bit of the heel of his hand as it hit the knob. But you could clearly see Dietrich grab at his left elbow, which was nowhere near the baseball.
I am told that Major League Baseball said it hit him slightly in the wrist. That's
transfer of pain from his right wrist into his left elbow.
At what point did it hit him in the wrist there? Okay, but we move on. Martin Prado, the 9th man to bat in the inning. 2 on and 2 out. 4 runs in. There's a strike, 0-1. Prado singled in the first. He's 1 for 3, leading the major leagues in hitting at the start of play tonight. It hit him slightly in the wrist is the official word from New York. Let's zoom in here on super slow-mo. Does it hit him in the wrist at all? They said slightly.
I didn't see it.
1-1 pitch. Bouncer to Ahmed at shortstop. And the Marlins send 9 to the plate in the 6th inning. 4 score. They lead at 5-4. game. Derek Dietrich up there. Now keep this in mind. He's got the elbow guard on the front elbow. He holds the back elbow, pretending it hit him there. When it came nowhere near that elbow, it hit the knob of the bat, but New York said it hit him or grazed him slightly on the wrist. So the official ruling was it grazed him slightly on that wrist, but watch him hold the elbow that's not even protected by the pad there. And he puts on a tremendous acting display here, like he's been hit right in that elbow, which was closest to the umpire, Dana Demuth. So he was holding the wrong elbow.
Hey.
Kyle Bearclaw comes in now. He'll work the 7th inning. Phil Gosselin leads it off. Phil so far 0 for 3, the starter at second base tonight. I mean, Dietrich really sold it, man. I mean, he should get the credit. He'll stay in the ball game and take over at second after hitting for Rojas. Kyle Bearclaw. He has never faced the Diamondbacks. He is the new pitcher for the Marlins.
Speaking of Bearclaw, you know they sell donuts at the concession stand here.
Do they?
Yeah. 2 glazed donuts in a little box.
You have some?
No, I didn't.
I'm going to hit that tomorrow. Appeared in 25 games for the Marlins last year. Pitched well, 2-1 with a 2.59 ERA. There's the strike. Well, what really hurt the Diamondbacks, Bob, obviously, was Andrew Chafin coming in to face Chris Johnson and a Danny Echeverria. He threw 8 pitches, all of them balls, walked both batters, and both scored. And that's what really hurt the D-backs in that 6th inning. Andrew Chafin has been one of the best relievers in the National League, so to see him come in here and not be able to throw a single strike, that was startling to say the least.
Sometimes you can attribute it to the difference in the game mound as opposed to the bullpen mound. Not sure if that's the case here. Because at some point you'd like to think you make a quick adjustment and get back into the zone. And, you know, in his defense, especially the second walk, a lot of those pitches were very close to the zone, but not close enough to get the call.
The right-hander Kyle Bearclaw. Top of the order up in the Arizona 7th. Gosselin, Drury, Goldie. 3-2 pitch is in there for strike 3. And Demuth rings up Gosselin.
Just grab your elbow.
Worked last time.
Yeah, front door slider this time from Bearclaw.
Brandon Drury singled in the 3rd. He's 1 for 3. Been a sensational run lately for Brandon. He's been the Diamondbacks' best hitter for 2 weeks now. And over his last dozen games, he's got 10 extra base hits, 9 RBIs, and he scored 10 times. Not bad for a 23-year-old rookie. He's ahead 2-0.
Boy, he likes that fastball down in there. He's almost like a left-handed hitter in that respect. Most left-handed hitters, especially guys that hit for power, like that ball down and in. And we've seen Brandon Drury be as quick on that pitch as anybody on the roster.
Going up there, as Chip Hale said today, with bad intentions. That one hit Bearclaw and rolls into center. Another multi-hit game for Brandon Drury, a 1-out single. He's 2 for 4. Goldie has singled and walked tonight. It's a big cut of a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, and it's 0-1.
Yeah, sometimes we call that an ambush, and certainly in Goldie it is an ambush in his case, because he doesn't generally swing at the first pitch of an at-bat unless there's runners in scoring position, but that time looking to do some bad intent of his own.
Bear Claw can go from 96 to 82 up there.
It's kind of a flat slider. We used to call it American Legion slider. Doesn't have a lot of downward movement, but it does have a lot of lateral movement right to left. He's been effective throwing it on the inside part of the plate. Got the called third strike on Phil Gosselin. Gets a called strike 2 there on Goldie on a front door slider.
Two and two. Just inside, full count, 3-2. Ricky Weeks Jr. on deck. Second 3-2 count in this inning for Bear Claw. He struck out Gosselin on that front door slider. Now the 3-2 to Goldie. Tapper to third. Prado coming in. Going to be a tricky play for him, and Goldie beats it out. Looked like Greg Gibson was going to call him out there, and maybe changed his mind at the very last moment, and the call is safe at first. He started to load up like he was going to throw him out.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought he was going to ring him up over there at first base.
So it's an infield single for Goldie. 2 on, 1 out for the Diamondbacks. And Ricky Weeks Jr. will be recalled, and we'll see David Peralta to hit against the right-hander Kyle Bear Claw. Peralta got the day off against the left-hander Nicolino. But he'll come up now here with 1 out in the 7th and hitting the big spot. 255 and 2 homers for David. Brandon Drury, the tying run at second. Goldie, the go-ahead run at first. 1 out. And here's Peralta. That one is rolled to second. Dietrich has it for 1. Echeverria can't turn 2. Peralta beats it out.
Don Mattingly up on the top step waiting to hear from their replay coordinator. Hard hit ground ball leading Dietrich toward the bag. Play for Echeverria to clear the runner right there and try to get enough on that throw. It looks like David clearly beat the relay on to first base.
Well, if the call stands, it'll be first and third with 2 down for Yasmani Tomas. Coach Tim Wallach still on the phone with the Marlins video people.
There's a lot of different things they could be looking at. Is Paul Goldschmidt's slide legal at second base?
Yeah.
He didn't go out of his way to go after the shortstop. He was clearly able to reach the bag. David hits the very front edge of first base with his toe right there.
So first and third, 2 down for Tomas, who has walked, singled, and scored twice. He's 1 for 2. Drury the tying run at third. Peralta the go-ahead run at first. That's his strike going. Six from Bear Claw. 0-2. That buzzed the tower at 95.
Real Muto wanted it up. He was really up high in his crouch back there behind home plate. I'm not so sure they wanted it that far inside. Slider upcoming.
Got it. Diamondbacks down 1, Strand 2. It's still 5-4 Marlins.
Bottom of the 7th inning. It's time to take a look back in history, presented by Geico. On this date in 1975, Hall of Famer Nolan Ryan took the mound as a member of the Angels in the 2nd inning at Arlington Stadium, and there was a rubber snake and a rubber crab underneath the rosin bag. Now, he accused or insinuated that Rangers manager Billy Martin was behind the shenanigans. I don't think I'd want to upset Nolan Ryan.
Yeah. Well, not if you didn't have to face him. Well, Billy would fight anybody.
Oh, yeah. His own team.
Same thing happened to me last night, actually, at Joe's Stone Crab place over there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
There was a rosin bag?
That's right. I didn't order this rosin bag. Tyler Clippard is on to pitch the bottom of the 7th. He'll work to Christian Yelich. D-backs down 5-4. Tyler coming off his 500th career appearance on Sunday. 2-0 with a 2.45 ERA, and 9 of his 11 appearances as a Diamondback have been scoreless. Yeah, Joe Stonecrab plays the famous. He went out there last night. Popular spot here. You got a long wait. It's right behind Perry Hill at first.
Fans booing the ball dude down the right field line.
Tough crowd here.
Yeah, misplayed that ball. Got onto the field. And a security guard horse laughing him down there.
This is driven deep to right field, way back and way out of here, off the upper deck. Christian Yelich is second of the season, and it's 6-4 Miami. Told you earlier, when he hits to his pole field, he gets it up in the air, and that one's out of here, off the facing of the second deck.
Got up in that jet stream again. Ball really carrying out that direction. I mean, this ball's clubbed, don't make any mistake about it, but it's off the facing of the second deck out there. What a blast.
That was center cut. Giancarlo Stanton. You give up a long home run like that, then you get to face Giancarlo. One 1-0. He walked and scored his last time up. Speaking of long home runs, did you see this? This is the one that Stanton hit in Miller Park over the weekend. Off the scoreboard in center. 462 off former Diamondback Chase Anderson. Look at that thing go. Oh, holy cow. That was quite a road trip for Stanton. And 10 hits in his last 7 games. 5 of them are home runs. He hit one when they were in San Francisco in batting practice on the last road trip out of the ballpark. It's on the internet if you want to look it up. In batting practice, he hit it into the parking lot behind left field at AT&T Park in San Francisco. And he strikes out against Clippard for the first out in the 7th. Some parking lot attendant out there got the baseball, where they have the big glove and the Coke bottle and all that stuff out there. He hit it over all that stuff.
We've speculated for years, can anybody hit that big mid out there behind the bleachers in left field? Well, we know at least one guy that can.
There's Ozuna, who hit a long home run himself in the 6th inning.
Boy, and the thing that's amazing to me is the fact he did it against a batting practice pitcher that was probably throwing about 50 miles an hour. Can you imagine if he'd have caught a 98-mile-an-hour heater with that same swing?
Yeah, Giancarlo generally provides most of his own power.
Yeah.
But you're right, that he might hit one through the window here. Well, that's why he makes the big bucks. 13-year, $325 million contract, Giancarlo Stanton. Nice work if you can get it. 0-2 on Ozuna. Tyler Clippard bounces back after the Yelich homer. He strikes out Stanton and Ozuna, 2 down.
Good change up that time. Watch this thing just fade out of the zone, down and in. Ozuna swinging right over the top. Everything he saw from Tyler Clippard said fastball. The cotton ball just floated up there.
Chris Johnson walked and scored his last time up. He's 0 for 2. Diamondbacks in the top of the 8th inning will have Castillo, Owings, Ahmed due up 6, 7, and 8. They have out hit the Marlins 9-7, but trail at 6-4. 2 Miami homers in the ball game. Ozuna the 2-run shot in the 6th. Yelich the solo homer here in the 7th. In there. Tyler Clippard strikes out Stanton, Ozuna, and Johnson, but the Yelich homer makes it 6-4 Miami.
The 8th inning. Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. A day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
8th inning here at Marlins Park. Wellington Castillo will lead off the inning for the Diamondbacks. Welly back in the 6th. The 2-run homer is 7th of the year. That at the time gave the D-backs a 4-1 lead. It's our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. Opposite field power over the glove of Giancarlo Stanton in right field. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. New pitcher for the Marlins. We're told he's doing a very good job now. At the back end of this Miami bullpen, it's David Phelps, who was sort of yo-yoed the last few years between starter and reliever. And he's on for the 13th time this year. A very good 1.20 ERA. And Beef Wellington leads off the Arizona 8th. Singled in the 2nd, homered in the 6th, 2 for 3. Well, the Marlins back from a very successful 7-3 road trip, and they are only 2-7 at home this year in Marlins Park, as Bob mentioned earlier. So maybe that bad Miami mojo here at home will continue. Diamondbacks down to their final 6 outs. Marlins got off to a slow start this year. They opened the season 5-11. This is up in the air along the right field line. Chris Johnson will give it a look, but it's in the seats. A 5-11 start, but they really turned things around on that last road trip. 7-3. Don Mattingly and his new hitting coach, Barry Bonds. Mattingly, it was interesting, Bob, to hear him talk last week about Barry as the hitting coach. And he sort of threw a shot across the bow and said, look, any hitting coach comes in here has to do the work. You can't be a hitting coach on reputation. Wasn't complaining about Barry, just kind of making a general observation about the position, but people sort of put 2 and 2 together there and said, because Frank Menachino has been the hitting coach here for a while and by all accounts done a very good job. But Barry sort of has his brand on things now.
I've heard from more than a couple of Marlins personnel that are close to this team that said that Frank Menachino technically still is the hitting coach and Barry is more of a consultant.
And there's the strikeout. Barry is front and center during batting practice. There's the bobblehead Hall of Fame here at Marlins Park. They have bobbleheads from every team in the league, like the Diamondbacks. The governor, Greg Schulte, has one in there. The bobblehead museum. It's quite a collection. That whole thing, by the way, moves just a little bit so that all the little heads will bobble. Chris Owings. Gubna's got one in there right next to Harry Carey.
Sure.
That's a big deal.
I think they put mine down in the fish tank.
You got one in there?
I don't know. I've never really looked.
I saw some Gonzos, some Gracies, some Kurt Gibson in there. There it is. You can see that all the heads are moving. We got a bunch in there from every team in the league. Broadcasters, players, managers. Boy, Phelps not messing around. 95. He blows away CO. 2 up, 2 down. Nick Ahmed now. Nick drove in a run with a sac fly in the second, singled in the fourth. He's 1 for 2. Boy, Phelps has really settled into a role. He's sort of been a man without a country, as it were. He's been a starter, reliever, back and forth, a long guy, spot starter, 5th starter. But he sure looks good. We can see why they're so excited about him now. Why he's the 8th inning guy. Throwing hard out there.
In his previous 3 games against the Diamondbacks in his career, 2 of those were starts. He was 0-3 with an ERA of 7.11. But this is a little different cat out there on the mound right now.
Sure is. And he's, oh, just did get a piece.
He got a piece and short hopped into Real Muto's glove.
1-2 still. Marlins will have the lower third of their order due up in the home half of the game.
Now, not only is he throwing hard, but that fastball has some natural cut to it. I wouldn't call it a cutter, but some guys that throw their 4-seam fastball and put a little extra pressure on their middle finger will get that natural cutting action.
All strike 3. Phelps comes in and strikes out the side in order. Diamondbacks in Miami. They trail at 6-4. Back. And he sat down recently with David Peralta. We talked about his struggles and perseverance to make it to the big league. It's the amazing story of the freight train. You've heard about it, you've read about it. Now hear it in David's own words, his amazing journey to the Diamondbacks. A brand new season, a cup of coffee, brought to you by CenturyLink. Debuts this Sunday at 1:30 and 10 o'clock only on Fox Sports Arizona.
And you actually had a cup of coffee there. No. Or at least it looked like a cup of coffee.
It did. That was the whole idea. See, I got you. That was the whole idea. Enrique Burgos. Scoreless baseball in 4 of his 5 outings this year. Back up from AAA Reno. And he'll face the shortstop, Adeiny Hechavarria, who walked and scored his last time up. Yeah, people get very upset when I'm not actually drinking coffee. So I try some tea. Maybe that was a happy medium. There's a little bleeder. Here comes Peralta, and the freight train can't quite run it down. It drops in for a base hit.
Nice effort by David, coming straight in just off the tip of his fingers of that glove. Stays right there on the turf. Gets to it quickly enough to hold Hechavarria to a bloop single.
Well, here's Academy Award winner Derek Dietrich, who put on quite a show when he hit for Miguel Rojas in the 6th inning. Pretended to be hit on the left elbow. Clearly hit the knob of the bat, even though he's got a protective guard on his right elbow, which makes the final decision seem even more nonsensical, but that's what happened, and it was a key moment in the ballgame. Dietrich didn't score. He was on base, but he kept the inning alive for Ichiro, who delivered a big 2-run single. What turned out to be a 4-run Marlins 6th. Pitcher spot 2 up next, and the big left-hand hitting first baseman Justin Bohr is in the on-deck circle. The Diamondbacks have to shift on to Dietrich. If you're jumping around like Dietrich was, and again, this is a lot easier in hindsight, but if you're jumping around holding your elbow and they look at it in super duper slow motion and say that it grazed your wrist slightly, wouldn't the fact that he was pretending and hit him in the elbow tell you it didn't hit him in the wrist?
Yeah, I would think so.
And there's also the giant loud crack of the bat sound we heard way up here, which was the ball indeed actually hitting the knob of the bat.
And if indeed he got hit on that left elbow, wouldn't he have a plastic wrap or something on it now for this at bat? Maybe even come out of the ball game if he got hit that bad.
You can argue about whether it grazed the wrist or not, but it came nowhere near the elbow. And you saw his reaction. It was, I mean, it was something. You've got Pacino, you've got De Niro, you got Dietrich.
Not Marlena either.
Hello. Two and two. He kept it going. Oh man, this hurts. Ow. Ow. I can barely move it.
How could you do that with a straight face?
He did a great job. Got to give it to him. It worked.
The baseball equivalent of a flop.
You're right. You do that in soccer, you get one of those cards.
Yeah.
This Bohr will hit for the pitcher. Three and two to Derek Dietrich. Hechavarria takes off. We'll do it one more time. I've noticed now that they've lowered the fences out there in left field, that the Clevelander BB is a little more mellow vibe out there now. See, the fences used to be as high as they continue to pan over Right there, you'll see where the fence goes up. The whole thing used to be that high, as you see there in the far right. They lowered it down to 6 feet so guys can rob home runs. And I think it's kind of killed the vibe out there a little bit. And Cincinnati takes off, and it's ball 4 from Burgo. I mean, it used to be, you know, disco night out there, and the music was pumping, and people were jumping around, dancing in the pool. Now it's a little mellow.
Well, it was a stroke of genius whoever decided to switch the bullpens and put the Marlins over in right field and put the visiting team right out there next to the Clevelander. It can be somewhat of a distraction from time to time. There's nothing going on over there in right field.
I believe last year that it was here they had some people swimming in the pool, and there was a lifeguard, and she was wearing like 6-inch heels as she overlooked the pool. Justin Bour will hit for the pitcher's spot here. The big first baseman, 276. He's got 3 homers. And there's a lot of power here. You got to be careful. Bour had a 2-homer game last Friday at Miller Park in Milwaukee.
I feel it's my duty every time we face a new team to point out Cubs cast-offs, and Justin Bour, another one, put up great numbers in the minor leagues for the Cubs, but they had identified who was going to play first base at Wrigley Field for the next 10 years, and it wasn't Justin Bour.
He was a 25th round pick by the Cubs out of George Mason back in '09. And had a nice year here in Miami last season. Top 5 in the National League Rookie of the Year voting. Hit 23 home runs. He signed Michael Morse. That was a disaster. That didn't work out at all. And Bour came up and did a really good job. Big classic left-hand power hitter who pulls the ball all the time. He has been going the other way a little bit more often this year. Missed away, and it's 2-1. In fact, a lot of teams have stopped pitching to Bour inside. He will be content this year to take his singles and take the hits to left. Not giving him anything he can pull. Again, they stay away. Little backdoor sliders in there, and it's 2-2.
Had a chance to see Justin Bour in 2011. The Florida State League All-Star game was played in Clearwater, and they had a home run derby before the All-Star game, just like they do for the big league All-Star game, and Justin Bour put on a show.
He's like a beer league softball guy up there.
You know, any hitter will tell you, even guys that don't hit home runs, every now and then it all comes together and everything feels right, and you feel like you can hit every pitch out of the ballpark. Well, it was that day for Justin Bour.
The Cubs kind of gave up on him. He had 3 straight seasons of at least 30 doubles and 85 RBIs in their minor league system. Then he fractured his left wrist, and the Marlins got him as a Rule 5 pick a couple of years ago. It's a full count, 3-2. Second straight full count for Burgos. And he lost Bour. A single and 2 walks have him loaded with no outs. Been a rough night for the Diamondback bullpen.
Boy, and we've seen a lot of rallies by opponents start just like this at the bottom of the batting order. Echeverria in the 7th spot gets that bloop single, then back-to-back walks to the 8 and 9 hitters. Now you roll around to the top of the order. This is how trouble gets started.
Mike Butcher. Bullpen will get busy again down there. Garvin Alston on the phone. Looks like the lefty Zach Curtis, who got a big double play ball on his major league debut over the weekend, will start throwing. Zach up from A ball. He was playing at Visalia. Closing game for J.R. House down there in the Rawhide when he got the call. And he has put up some big strikeout and save numbers at the lower levels of the Diamondback system. He's been a closer at Hillsboro. He was a lockdown closer at Kane County. In low A this year he's been at Visalia. So base is full, nobody out. And here's the leadoff man, the catcher, JT Realmuto. Doubled and scored in the first. He's 1 for 4. All 1. Burgos so far, 15 pitches, only 6 of them for strikes. Popped him up, but it's going to get in the seats. That is blasted deep to left center field, way back. It'll stay in the yard. Yasmani Tomas tracks it down. Echeverria tags and scores. Runners move up, and it's 7-4.
Under the circumstances, that's about the best you could hope for right there. That ball made that sound coming off the bat of JT Realmuto. Looked like it was ticketed for the Clevelander out there. Yasmani able to track it down on the warning track.
Dietrich tag. Bohr stayed put at first, so they're in the corners now. One down for Prado. 1 for 4, single in the first. There's a strike, 0-1.
Well, all the good things we've said about Martin Prado and his time in Arizona, and one negative thing you could say about Martin was he was a double play machine.
He had his moments, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that 90 feet, because Bohr did not tag up in advance with the rest of the runners, could turn out to be big right here if we can get a ground ball to one of the infielders.
Prado came into the ball game leading the major leagues with a .410 batting average. Two and one. Rough inning for Enrique Burgos. Single, walk, sac, fly. Now he's behind on Prado. Zach Curtis still throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. There's a lefty Yelich on deck. There's a fly ball to right center field. Chris Owings. Dietrich is at third. CO has it. Here comes Dietrich. The throw is in time. They got him. And now Bohr over on second base, but he's back safely.
That's the third out of the inning.
Yep.
Fly ball was number 2. The tag at the plate was number 3.
So there you go. Chris Owings comes in from center field and throws out Dietrich on the fly ball tag. Dana DeMuth is holding everybody on the field, though. There may be a challenge. Let's see. We'll keep it here. And he's looking into the Marlins dugout. Dana DeMuth, they want the defense in these replay situations at the end of innings to stay on the field in case there is a challenge, just to make things more efficient. Mattingly waiting for word from his bench coach Tim Wallach, who's on the phone with their video people. Let's take a look.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of this from opponents challenging both Chris Owings in center and Yasmani Tomas in left. Yeah, it looked like he got it in there.
And there is no challenge from the Marlins. We'll go to the 9th in Miami. Back after this. Summary. Diamondbacks at one point led it 4-1, but the Marlins and a 4-run 6th inning. Andrew Chafin had a rough time of it, and they also had a big 2-run homer from Marcell Ozuna, and we're set for the 9th inning. The series continues. What's next? Brought to you by CenturyLink. How about this pitching matchup tomorrow? Ruby De La Rosa and Jose Fernandez. That'll be fun. A.J. Ramos, the Marlins closer, on, and he'll work to the pinch hitter Jake Lamb, who starts the Arizona 9th inning. Ramos is one of the more underrated closers in the league. This guy is nasty. He's got 7 saves this year. He's converted 16 straight dating back to last season. A 0.96 ERA. Lamb hits for the pitcher.
32 out of 38 last season pitching for the Fish.
Yeah, this guy can be a handful. Two and one on Jake, who's at 275 with 3 home runs. Inside strike, it's 2-2. Jake Lamb feeling just fine. In the words of Chip Hale today, he is perfect. Did not start the ball game. On the bench with a lefty starter for Miami, Justin Nicolino. And Lamb strikes out against Ramos to open up the night. The last 5 Diamondback hitters have struck out. Bearclaw got Tomas, who left the bases, or left 2 runners on in the 7th. Phelps struck out the side in the 8th. Now Ramos punches out Lamb to open up the 9th. Here's Phil Gosselin, who's 0 for 4. Diamondback Live post-game show follows our ball game. Jody Jackson down on the field. She'll have reaction from the clubhouse, and we'll find out exactly what the umpires said to Chip Hale on that Eric Dietrich hit by pitch. The official ruling from New York was that it slightly grazed his wrist, even though he was jumping up and down holding his elbow. The ball clearly hit the knob of the bat, so we'll see. That led to one of the big hits of the ball game. Ichiro came up and had a 2-run single as part of that 4-run Marlins 6th. They took a 5-4 lead at that point. They now lead at 7-4. This is popped up. Johnson coming in from first, and he just does make the catch. Brandon Drury, another multi-hit game, 2 for 4, a pair of singles. And he's the last man standing. Brandon up to 325 on the year. And he drives this one right at Stanton, and that's the ball game. The Marlins win it 7-4 to open up this 9-game road trip for the Diamondbacks, who have now lost 4 in a row and dropped 4 games under 500 for the year. This is one that they let get away.
Yeah, they really did.
Nice way to say it.
Yeah, unfortunately, the bullpen, the guys that have been doing such a nice job, including Andrew Chafin, just weren't up to it tonight. It's a shame because Patrick Corbin looked more like Patrick Corbin tonight.
Yeah, it was a rough night for Andrew Chafin coming out of that bullpen after Corbin gave up the Ozuna home run. Andrew threw 8 pitches, all of them balls. He walked 2. Both of those runners scored. And Chafin gets the loss. Nicolino the win. Ramos is 8 saved in 3 hours and 11 minutes. Diamondbacks